Hello, welcome to the Red Devils Den podcast. Obviously, we had Atalanta 2-2 away in the Champions League on Tuesday, so we'll start with that. Obviously, get on to the Manchester derby, which is pretty massive. Might be one or two things in between if we get onto that. But yeah, Resurgent, what do you think? Champions League 2-2.
It's one of those situations where the result objectively is fine. The key to getting through in the Champions League and winning your group is you win your home matches and you draw your away games. And we did that against Atalanta in the two legs, so there's nothing to complain about. The problem I have more is with the performance. I thought we weren't very good in the match. We got a draw because, and it's going to sound like Analytics FC, but because of Cristiano Ronaldo's individual brilliance. And as much as I appreciate that, I do wish that with this squad we aspired to more. And I'm sick and tired of conceding 2 goals every game. That does get under my skin. So I'm not happy, but ultimately the important thing was to get through the match and not lose. And we're top of our group, so it's hard to complain. The only issue now is with the way that results are, we're going to have to wait until the final match day to see if we qualify. And it'd be nicer to be able to take care of that after 4 or 5 game weeks, and we're not there. But it is what it is. Let's just be happy we didn't lose. Reese, you are muted.
Good. Sorry. Yeah, for sure. I don't think we deserved the win, to be honest. So I think it was about right. I mean, I think it was probably 50-50 between a draw and a loss. But when you have one of the best players of all time, sometimes he's going to bail you out.
No. We're United fans and we're shameless. The best player of all time.
Yeah. Sometimes that's gonna happen. Obviously, it's happened too often this season. But yeah, Darth, what were your thoughts on the game?
I thought we played pretty poorly, like throughout the game. There were, in fact, not throughout. There was a weird spell where we actually looked like we were gonna score, but our midfield was just being walked through as if it weren't there. We were being overrun. They had like an extra man in midfield, and again, Ronaldo does what Ronaldo does, and they don't call him Mr. Champions League for no reason. He literally turns up and scores for fun. It's what he was bought for. There was like a weird thing they did on Sky Sports, voice crack. Thing on Sky Sports where it was like, oh, without Ronaldo's goals, United would be a bottom of their Champions League group. Like, isn't that the same with every other
team?
A
striker scores goals, so
that's literally what he's there for. It's bad, but
the other thing they have to remember is, I understand like the second goal yesterday and other people aren't going to score that, but some of Ronaldo's goals, you could put like Cavani in his position or Mason Greenwood. They'd score some of them. So you can't just be like, take out one guy's goal. Yeah, exactly. You can't just take out one guy's goals and be like, oh, this is what United would be in the table. Well, if you want to do that, take out every team's top scorer, and then maybe we can do it. It's still stupid, but it's at least more understandable that way.
This is the only team that United do. It's bad to say. I kind of felt for Atalanta in a way because I felt they deserved at least 3 points from a game. It was one of them games where you go, they deserved more. But then when you've got Ronaldo on your books, you kind of go, okay. And when he does that, it's one of them, innit? You kind of just hold your hands up and go, that was pretty good, wasn't it? But I don't know. I felt Atalanta deserved to win because I felt they had more chances. But then a draw is probably fair, I guess.
I feel like the second match, like the draw was probably fair. It's more the first one where we come back from 2-0 down where you think, they've been absolutely robbed. And you do feel for them. They're a good club, right? It's a small team. I was talking pre-match with, I think, Dan, and I was
They're really fun to watch.
They're fun to watch. They've got a manager who kind of built his team patiently. They bring through young players. They've got a squad that costs less than Harry Maguire and Paul Pogba combined for the whole 25 players. So look, I'm not getting into either one of those players' performances right now. I'm just saying that it's the kind of club you can root for. Like, it's not like, you lose to PSG and you're like, well, screw PSG, we hate them. Like, Atalanta are an organic football club, one that like is the vision of what people want the game to be, and it's easy to think that they deserve more. And I hope that out of the teams in our group, obviously I want United to top the group. I hope Atalanta finish second.
Yeah, because fuck Villarreal.
Fuck 'em. Daniel, what do you think?
Daniel, who the
Yeah, that's weird. He's Dan. The other Daniel's not on the.
Yeah, hold
podcast
on.
today.
Hold on.
Yeah, well,
We set some fucking ground rules here.
But when the other Dan's on, I'll call him Dan. But
Mr. Winklevoss.
Yeah,
say he's on my screen,
I like
Daniel,
Winkle.
so-
That works too.
Well, firstly, hello everybody. It's great to be back. I understand it's been a while, too long, in fact. So it's good to be back on the pod. As far as the Atalanta game goes, I'm probably very much going to mirror what Resurgent said in the fact that, on the face of things, the result was excellent. A point away in Italy is always great, but I can't sit here and lie and say that I was happy with the performance because I wasn't. The game of the weekend, we played fantastically well, and I've spoken to Resurgent about it. The Champions League game in midweek is sort of going to be an indicator whether Spurs are just horrifically bad, worse than we are, or we have actually turned a bit of a corner, and it turned out to be the former. Unfortunately, I think Atalanta outplayed us nearly every part of the pitch. I thought that they had a direct line to Zapata that we never even attempted to cut off. Midfield got run all over, Paul Pogba especially. I know it's a topic of debate at the moment, but he did. He didn't particularly look very interested, although he did do quite well for the first goal. I felt like we created very little chances. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 overall. The first goal was beautiful football. And, when we did score that, the story of last season being that someone does something fantastic and the squad sort of kicks on from there. But this season, I've felt that we haven't had that. Whereas before, that would give us a huge lift. And now we do something fantastic and then it's more of the same. It's like we don't even have that at the moment. I mean, I know much is going well, but we have sort of always had that, the bright spots, the moments, the 15, 20 minutes where we've looked fantastic. But whereas now it's, 5, like maybe 10.
It's basically the first goal that we scored, and that was about it, like in terms of looking excellent.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously the Cristiano Ronaldo goal, that's just what Ronaldo does. He's the GOAT, the undisputed GOAT as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah.
Who's this Messi fella you're talking about? I don't know.
Who the fuck's that? He's about 7 debuts, isn't he? But no, the results, well, it's not fantastic. It's good. And, we topped the group somehow. And we've robbed 4 points from Atalanta. But, yeah, we're not with the performance, to be honest.
I think Spurs were just evidently worse than us on Saturday.
Yeah, this is the thing. We looked fantastic. Like the way we defended in that shape was beautiful. You saw the steals, and they're usually so disjointed and uncohesive. Mm-hmm. And then you saw the steals from the Spurs game, and you're like, wow, that's a real structure. I mean, we may have had that during the week when he started with the 3 and Varane went off, but I haven't seen any evidence of that personally. And the change in shape probably was a mistake, as Resurgent rightly said at the time. But it was just very disjointed again. And, at the moment, you sort of go into games expecting to concede the first goal. So you already go in with sort of a negative mindset, thinking we're definitely going to go down.
May as well score an own goal in the first minute.
Yeah.
That's the irritating thing, though, Darth. In last season, there was that thing about how all of the away wins, we would go 1-0 down and then come back. And it was okay, United go 1-0 down, then they start playing for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, whatever it is. The problem this season has been United go 1-0 down. They still look terrible. The opposition just misses 3 chances. And then for 10 minutes, we do well and get a goal, and it's a 1-1 draw. And it's so frustrating to look at any given match and be like, unless we score 2 goals, we're not getting anything from this.
If we look good against Atalanta, it would have been 3-5-2 Reds for the rest of the season.
I still think it should be 3-5-2 Reds for some time moving forward, because
at least until the international break.
I wouldn't have changed the shape against Atalanta even when Varane went off. And the reason for that is when I look at it, people tell me that, we wouldn't have scored the first goal without the change in shape or whatever. And the way that I look at it is, if we have 3-5-2, we're probably not going to concede again. And it's 1-0 at the 30th minute or whatever that Varane went off in. And at this point, we need 2 goals to win the game. And that's more likely to happen than you change the shape. We know we're going to concede a second goal, and now we need 3. So it's just, I would rather not concede a goal than kind of gamble to try to score one at the moment, because with the individual quality in our team, I know we'll probably score. At some point, something will happen. Ronaldo will do something amazing. Bruno will do something amazing. Rashford will pull out a run from nowhere. Somehow or another, we will score. I'm not worried about that. The thing that concerns me is we give up goals for fun. I mean, look at it, right? 4 against Leicester, 2 against Atalanta the first time, 2 against Atalanta the second time, 5 to Liverpool. The only team that we seem to be able to keep a clean sheet against is Tottenham Hotspur, and they sacked their manager immediately after the game because of how bad.
And that was a shot on target for 3 games.
All right,
exactly.
Vin's been waiting patiently. Apologies, Vin.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, anyways, since we've come to me, yeah, like everyone's been saying, the result was fine because, again, the core philosophy in playing Champions League group games is you win your home games, you draw your away games, try to get one of the wins in your away games, and you're probably through, right? So from that perspective, the draw was a good result. From a performance perspective, it's the same old problems. We thought that, and then we just come to realize that Spurs were just one of those bogey teams where you're like, yeah, whatever structure we play, whatever formation we change, it'll look good because Spurs weren't pressing. They just lacked energy, they lacked proactiveness, which is why we looked so concrete and so positive. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, whose phone is ringing? Is that Vin? Okay, I went ahead and muted him. Sorry about
Professional.
that, guys.
Sorry for that.
Professional.
Yeah, sorry for
Get
that.
sacked in the morning.
Hey, in
What
fairness, if
podcast
people
is
wanted
this?
professional, they wouldn't be listening to this podcast.
They wouldn't be listening to this, exactly.
No,
We're just chilling around here. Anyways, yeah, but from the performance perspective, obviously a couple of shocker performances from Harry Maguire, from Paul
Pogba.
Pogba. Eric Bailly, I think, had a very good game. Shout out to him. Especially that save, that insane block that he made from Zapata, given away by Pogba on the edge of our own box, which was
I'm sorry, just to clarify, who gave the ball away for that?
Pogba.
Paul Pogba.
Okay, just wanted to
I
make
just saw
sure.
that little smirk that you did with Sergeant when Reece mentioned.
Please, I didn't do that on
Can you
purpose.
repeat that?
It's my default reaction.
Right.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so again, that insane block, but although you could question his positioning for the second goal, which was scored by Zapata again. And yeah, like the scoreline should have been Atalanta United 2, Ronaldo United 2. That's what it should have been instead of Manchester United, because he single-handedly carrying us.
Vin, just to remind you, I know that you're an American. We play against Atalanta, not Atlanta United, the one in
I said Atalanta.
You said Atlanta United.
I didn't say Atlanta. I said Atalanta.
But then you said United afterwards. It wasn't the Atalanta. You said United.
Oh, I didn't mention United?
Yeah. Okay, that's not the MLS team, just to clarify.
Come on, man.
I sort of mentioned those words together. Anyway.
At least you didn't say Atlantis.
Yeah, and again,
in fairness, we might have a better chance against Atlantis. The water is going to make it hard for them to necessarily score.
They've always got a waterlogged pitch. So.
Zeus hat trick.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like the use of Donny van de Beek and Jadon Sancho for the last 5 minutes, you saw the impact that they made. I mean, those two combined made more impact than
Pogba over 90 minutes
in the entire 60 minutes. I know I'm singling out Pogba, but there is good reason.
Harry Maguire too, our captain.
Harry Maguire too. I've been saying this,
and Harry Maguire is half fit.
And again, the reports recently have come out after the game that he probably wasn't on schedule to start against Leicester or Liverpool, and yet we played him irrespective.
Both.
So, and for 90 minutes each. So that's again.
Trying to make
it's chaotic. It's chaotic at the moment. It's chaotic all over with like the press reports. And recently, there's been a report come out by Telegraph's James Tucker about Kieran McKenna and how he was sort of entrusted into the first team coaching responsibilities entirely. First by Jose Mourinho and then by Solskjaer. So that report's come out as well. And yeah, there seems to be a bit of a conflict between the coaching staff, and that's something which is not good.
That's
especially
a big
before the
issue.
big derby game.
I know it's popular right now to treat Kieran McKenna as a pinata and just have a swing. What I will say though is, in the season that Ollie came in, where we had half Mourinho, half Ollie that year, we conceded 54 goals. The following season in the league, I think we conceded 36 goals throughout the season after buying Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. Last season, I think it was 39, 40 goals. So we've had like a goal a game type of defenses, or less than a goal a game in the 2019-20 season. With Kieran McKenna coaching the team, it feels unfair to single him out for the disaster classes that we keep putting in week after week when he was there when we were doing better as well. You have to remember that. And as much as I think we could use a more experienced coach, a more tactical coach on the coaching staff, it's not fair to just target him and say, he's a 32-year-old coach that's been employed and told to go handle all that responsibility.
He's 35 now.
Yeah,
35
when Mourinho brought him in. But the point is, like, he has done a job for us in the past, and he's highly rated.
So
I don't think it's fair to target him necessarily. The problem that I'm having more than anything is the sheer unwillingness to rotate. Where, in the past, I always defended all these. It's like, he has Antonio Valencia on the bench. He has Ashley Young. What's he supposed to do? These are Mourinho's players, Sir Alex's players, LBG's players. He bought Donny van de Beek. He bought Alex Telles. He bought, or Cavani does get to play. So I guess that's
Sancho.
Sancho is another purchase of his. These are guys who tell us you can't bring in these players and then say, I'm just never going to play you unless there's an injury. Nemanja Matic has played well in his last 2 or 3 games, in my opinion, and the guy can't get a look in. It seems to be McTominay plus Fred or Pogba in every single game. And it's just so frustrating to see that we have this big, wonderful squad that could be rotated so well. And instead, we're going with the same 14 players that he picks his favorite 11 from at any given time.
The issue, so someone made the link, and it maybe it's a little link, a soft link, and maybe it doesn't make sense. But when we went on that unbeaten run during Ollie's interim, he had, is it Mark Dempsey as his assistant and manager, and then Mark Dempsey had to go away because he had a health condition. He was away for a couple of months, and then he came back. And when Mark Dempsey was there, we went on that 6-month unbeaten run. That's not a manager bounce, by the way, for anybody that says it's not.
For those who don't remember, Mark Dempsey, by the way, is a coach who Ollie had with him in the youth academy, and then he took with him to Molde and Cardiff, and then ultimately he came back to United with Ollie. So it's a long time associative. It's kind of like Rui Faria is to Mourinho, or like Stuyvenberg was to Van Gaal.
I've noticed someone made the link that the moment Mark Dempsey left, we've looked less as a.
When did he leave? Last.
I think he's involved with the youth academy, but he's not in the first team picture anymore.
He's not in the first team.
Yeah, I think that changed like 6-7 months ago, something like that. Remember, there was an episode where he was in the hospital or something. Let me see.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm googling it now.
Yeah, well, I think our structural problems came this season because last season we conceded more goals than we did the season before. But
technical coach in 2018. In 2019, while Man United were on their preseason tour, he was ill and then admitted to the hospital, and then he returned to his role in December 2019.
So just to put that in perspective, I got the exact time. It's December 2020 is when Ollie ended up moving Mark Dempsey from first team to the academy, and then Mike Phelan also at that same time stepped into more of like the assistant manager role rather than hands-on coaching. So that basically took place last December around the time.
That's where lies the problem.
I've
been saying it for a while now. Look, I'm not saying that McKenna is a problem. Look, McKenna is a high talented coach.
Get Mark Dempsey back.
Yeah, look, I'm not blaming everything on.
Bring in Rennie Muellen's team.
They're highly talented coaches.
Yes.
Give me Rennie, please.
Yeah, I mean,
an experienced coach.
I'm talking here. What are you doing?
All right, Vin, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just like, all I'm saying is, look, there's no point blaming everything on McKenna and Carrick, because again, the blame, if anything, should lie on Ollie for 2 reasons. Number one, the inability to rotate the likes of Telles, Donny, Sancho, like the surgeon said just now. You've got these players now. Like last season, we could understand saying, we've got Mata and you've got Lingard and so on and so forth, who were just out of form. Lingard wasn't even there. So like you had Mata and then you had Donny who was just sort of settling in, and you can understand that. But now you've got a good amount of talent on the bench. Make the most of it. Like against Atalanta, I would have liked to see Tellers in that left wing back position. I would have liked to see more of Jadon Sancho and Donny. Like get them, not give them 5 minutes, give them like 20 minutes. See what they can do. Like, when Pogba's having a shit show, get him out, put someone like a Donny in. When Rashford isn't at his best, get him out, put Sancho in. You've got the talent, make the most of it. And for me, the problem lies with Ollie and Phelan, in my opinion. Like, there've been a couple of instances where they've kind of screwed it up, like royally. And this is one of those occasions. Like this season, I would say there've been such instances.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones responsible ultimately for bringing back Harry Maguire 7 to 10 days before he would have been fit to start, per the report from Duckery.
Nah, but I mean, that's on the medical team though, right?
If it's not though. The medical team told you that it's 7 to 10 days till he's ready to start. And then you decided, no, you know what? He can run around on the training pitch, so he's going to play.
So back to, you mentioned René Millerstein.
I know that's...
Forget René, he's not coming back.
No, I was going to say, maybe not him, because maybe football's evolved too much for René Millerstein. Maybe go for...
Oh, no, it seems to be like a personal issue. Or that Ollie doesn't feel the need for it. At this point, the only way René Millerstein's coming back is as interim manager to the end of the season.
No, but like, go hire another coach that's been around Klopp or Pep. Go for someone that's been around modern football, like as recent as 2018, as 2019. They know how it's evolved, right?
Yeah, we need someone who's actually coached the team to a big title or to big trophies, because we haven't got that at the moment.
Ollie's got people on hand that can help him a little bit, even if they're not necessarily coaches. Our head of global scouting right now, Marcel Bout, was a opposition scout for Louis van Gaal during his time at the club. He was intimately involved with the match planning under his tenure. So it feels to me like, if worst case scenario, you're struggling to come up with a tactical solution, you could at least bring in the guy whose job was to scout other teams to give you some advice and pointers. And he's already employed by the club. The issue isn't so much finding a coach. Those guys are out there. There's even people within the club who could provide, like Dempsey's working with the academy. You could bump him back up. You could bring in Marcel Bout, like I mentioned. John Murtaugh actually was not part of the coaching staff, but he was relevant.
Data science, right?
What was that?
I think it was data science.
Yes, I think data science under David Moyes. There's people who were brought in and involved with past coaching staff still at the club who can provide something to people from the outside. The issue is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to accept that there's a problem with his coaching staff for that to happen. Yeah. And he seems to believe that what he's got is perfect and he's going to ride or die with them. And I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to ride for very long with them. It's going to end up the other way.
McPhelan, get him. Like McPhelan, I'm telling you, he is...
When you said midfield, I started thinking of Fred, like a midfield pairing.
He doesn't, in that Docker article, he doesn't do per se like the team anymore.
Like he's not doing assistant manager duties like from the footballing side.
He does like paperwork and shit.
A lot of the time
he's like behind the scenes, which is fine. Like do all the stuff that you want to do behind the scenes with data science and improve the
but the problem with that, Vin, I understand that it's all beneficial to the club, but we have a technical director, we have a director of football, and we have Mick Phelan essentially functioning as an assistant to them more than Ollie at this point. So I just have to ask the question, isn't that one person's job? And then the coaching staff should be responsible for, preparing the players for the next match. And instead we end up in this situation where essentially McKenna is coaching the team, Ollie's picking it. And other than that, it's just absolute chaos in terms of who's doing what.
Again, none of us are behind the scenes, so we don't actually know. Maybe there's more.
But we've got reliable reports from the likes of Telegraph, Ducker. There's been some stuff about Mike Phelan stepping back from coaching around a year ago from At Odds on FPL, who's a noted United ITK, who's proven reliable in the past. Muppeteers have said stuff like this. So it's not like this isn't sourced. We're not just making it up. We've heard this from sources who've proven to be reliable in the past.
Something's changed because we now have better players and are defending inherently worse. So something has absolutely changed.
I don't know. Maybe it's because Ole's trying to change from a counter-attacking team to dominating possession. But then
it's not fucking working though. So you have to
you don't. And again, the issue is the structure isn't there. So we keep making the same fucking mistakes. And if we had a structure, we probably wouldn't make them mistakes, right?
In the two games against Atalanta, right, they scored two of the most simplest goals you've ever seen in your life. You get to the byline against this Manchester United side this season. If you get to the byline, if you put a ball to the penalty spot, you will score a goal. You watch the two Atalanta games; their first two goals exactly the same. And they're so easy to defend against. It's like with the players.
I still think that's a lack of structure.
Well, here's something to kind of get to the lack of structure. Did you know that United this season have a higher expected goals against in the league than Burnley?
Oh yeah, only Newcastle and Norwich have higher XG, right? Only Newcastle and Norwich.
Yeah, I think Norwich are the only ones that have conceded less chances than we have, and we've got the most errors to goals. This is where the thing comes with Harry Maguire. You can understand them rushing him back if he's coming in having masterclasses, but I think he personally has been responsible for 3 or 4 goals this season. He's so out of form. So
he hasn't looked right since the start of the season. Yeah, never mind when he was injured, and I was like, oh, maybe.
You have to realize though, with Harry Maguire, he rushed himself back to play in the Euros for England. And then after that, he basically barely had a preseason. He then rushes himself into the team for United. And then he gets injured again. And then instead of saying, okay, we've screwed this up, let's give him some time, the coaching staff decides, you know what we should do? Let's give him let's forget the 7 to 10 days. He's coming in straight away in a hostile environment away to a team who he walked out on to come join us. And now he's psychologically screwed, he's physically screwed, and he's out of form. And it's one of those things where, yes, Harry Maguire has to play better. Yes, Harry Maguire should be dropped if somebody else was fit and available to play his position. But at the same time, it's hard to blame Harry Maguire entirely for all of this when Gareth Southgate picked him semi-fit to go to the Euros and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer starting him in matches that he's not ready for.
Yeah, and I think a reason behind that seems to be something similar that happened last season, where Maguire was not injured but out of form after that whole thing that happened in Greece, right?
Yeah, he didn't look right.
He didn't look right, but then Ole did play him through that bad patch of form, and then he came out pretty strong and dominant. And I think I was talking to Reese in I think a couple of days ago, and Reese was telling me that's probably the right thing to do, and it's kind of what he's doing right now. And Reese was of the opinion that it was the right thing to do. So I was just curious to know, like, why do you think that was the right thing to do? Because I don't think
playing Maguire into form.
Last season, if you remember, he played through a bad patch. He looked pathetic.
Exactly.
And then he came out, dishing out pretty good performances, and was.
The issue is this has been since the start of the season. He's not
that's what I'm saying. I'm asking Reese because he said that was the right thing to do. So I'm just asking him why.
Yeah, and thanks for setting me up, because I keep trying to talk, but I got people interrupting me.
Sorry, Reese.
Sorry. But yeah, I think, as you say, last season Ole stuck with Maguire because he was having a really tough time. I can't remember exactly what games he was at fault for goals for, but he was having a really tough time, and he had a red card for England, didn't he? And he was rock bottom, like probably worse than what he's going through right now. But Ole stuck with him. He scored a goal against Newcastle, and after that, he was brilliant for the rest of the season. So, and Ole knows his personality better than we do. So, surely he can be the judge of what he's going to react to and what he isn't, because if you drop your captain, that's going to be that's not going to look good, is it?
Or make headlines on every paper under the sun.
Yeah, like the only difference I see from last season, this season, is that not only he's going through a hangover of the Euros, but he's also coming after an injury. So that is something which has compounded the situation, and playing through it doesn't really make sense for me. And not just Maguire, any player for that matter. If you've had a hangover of a tournament, playing for your national team, and then you've come and you've had an injury and you've come back from it, you don't rush any player, irrespective of which games you have. You may have it against the biggest of teams or against the smallest of teams. You don't rush a player through. So that's where I stand with that.
I think that's
Yeah.
got to be one of my personal biggest gripes with Solskjaer. I know that I've mentioned it on it before, that he gives players too long to play themselves into form. He did it with David De Gea, he did it with Anthony Martial, he did it with Jesse Lingard, and now he is doing it with Harry Maguire. And I mean, yes, of course, they're all individuals and they will all have different mindsets and they will all recover from things differently. But at the same time, we've got matches of football to win, and which is the be all and end. That is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is judged on. That is what Manchester United is judged on. And you can understand, like, retrospectively, was it Bailly that was giving it to Solskjaer for playing Maguire in that Leicester game? And retrospectively, you look back on that and you think, yeah, especially with how he played at Atalanta. I mean, I know he's not the most consistent player in the world, but you have, like, just say hypothetically you get Atalanta by in that Leicester game, it could be totally different, and you can understand sort of his perspective as well. And all these players, of course, they're all individuals, and it seems like Martial has passed the tipping point that Ollie mentioned in that interview with Sky. I can't remember when it was, but sort of Martial has passed that, but he's got to drop these players when they're not playing well. And Maguire, he's the captain, of course he is, and I'll always stand by him. And I think he's a fantastic defender. But right now, he is not good. So, and a game on the bench is not going to be the be on and end all. It'll make headlines for a couple of days. But if we ultimately come out of that game having won and having kept a clean sheet, then his decision is then justified.
So Ollie does this thing where he plays you while you're out of form until he fully drops you from the squad, and that's what he did with Martial.
Exactly, yeah.
And he wasn't injured. Yeah, and then the moment he drops you from the squad, that's it. You're done. You're finished.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a man management thing as well, though, because I know when Mourinho was always dropping players left, right, and centre, people were saying, "Oh, look at Pep, he's stuck with, was it Sane?" I remember someone saying, "Oh, he's sticking with Sane through bad form," and look at him now because he's playing really well. That was a couple of years ago. But now we've got Ali who sticks with players, and it's the other way around. So.
Of course,
I get that.
I know exactly what you're saying, but there has to be
Pep gets wanked off by every fucking journalist under the sun. Come on, mate.
I mean, you do. There has to be an equilibrium. Of course, you stick with players, but you have to find a middle ground where you have to play them through bad form to an extent. But when you've shipped 3 or 4 goals that have been personally your fault in 4 or 5 games, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Even if you bring him out of the squad for 1 week, you could lie to the media and say, "Oh, he's getting a bit of a knock." You go, you let him go see the medical staff for a week, take him out of the firing line.
Got the flu.
It's winter. Exactly just things like that.
Yeah, it's got pros and cons, right? The pros is the manager trusts his players and likes to give them a longer rope. The con is then you're not giving that rope to other players. Like you only giving it to like a set number of players. Like some of the French players, they don't get that same amount of rope. So that's the problem. So you got to have the ability to sort of hand that extended rope to other players as well to give them a chance. So it's got its pros and cons, really.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with the thing being favourite because, I mean, as a manager, like if I was a manager, you're going to stick with the players that trust you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you've got players that will graft for you. It's why Fred McTominay play all the time because they will graft for Ollie. They're going to run through brick walls for him. So I can understand the favourites thing, but like I was saying before, you have to find that equilibrium with it.
Okay, so I know we touched on it slightly in the last podcast. Pogba had a pretty poor game against Atalanta, so some of you guys wanted to talk about him. Vin was the one in particular.
Yeah, you forgot to mention the word again. He had a pretty poor performance again. Just a question for you guys, and this is something might be personal. If you choose not to answer, I'll understand. Do any of you know a friend or a contact in Russia who has a gulag? Because if you do, reach out to them right now and tell them that we've got a person available.
Well, it sounds like, Darth, you need to be hitting up your contacts in Eastern Siberia at this point.
Fuck. How did you know?
Like I said, you can choose not to answer, any of you. I can understand if it's confidential. I get it.
I'll call my buddy Kim Jong-un. We'll see if we can ranking in North Korea.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to put him through that much stress as well. I mean, Gulag is fine for now.
But I'm interested to see though whose hairstyle changes first, the North Koreans or Paul Pogba's.
To be fair, Gulag, you can respawn.
Well, they could probably sort out a shed. I don't know about a Russian Gulag.
Oh man, because like he deserves to be there. I mean, seriously. Like, Dad, you were telling me that there's a contract offer for Pogba.
$500,000 a week, as far as I'm aware.
How long has it been?
It's been on the table for 6 months. Yeah,
last
6 months,
July.
right?
No,
Shred that contract.
last July, not 6 months.
Last July, right? 6 months, right?
No, not July just gone. July a yeehaw ago.
Oh, July 2020. Got it.
July 2020.
Wow.
It's been
That's
sat
like
on the
a
table
year
for
and-
$500,000 a week.
Ollie loves him, and I don't know why.
Okay. Shred
Ollie
that
knows
contract.
he's a good player.
Shred it. Incinerate the shred if you have to.
I said the
Because
moment
he
it gets
doesn't
to
deserve
November-
one bit of that 500K or whatever.
Controversial
I'm sorry.
question, but can we potentially just shred Pogba instead of the contract?
Well, look, I don't wanna kill him. You don't wanna commit
that's
murder.
murder.
Come
To
on.
be fair, I said
I don't want to
yeah.
hurt him. I just want to warn him a little bit so he doesn't
Or
sign.
shred his hair, maybe, for starters.
That's all you have to do. He'll walk out the door immediately.
Shave him bald. No, I said leave him in Italy.
You know which moment peaked, which moment it was peak for me. Outside the edge of our own box, that throw in from Shaw, Pogba picks it up, and then he does some sort of fancy crap trying to get past three Atalanta players. Then instead of passing it to Maguire, just puts it away in a free space. Zapata catches it, and it could have almost been 2-0, game over, had not been for Eric Bailly. And
I was
like,
talking to
dude,
somebody, and one of the things they said to me yesterday during the PSG match, they said one of the ways you can know whether someone understands football or not, ask them who they prefer out of Mbappe and Neymar. Both good players, talented a lot, but having said that, Mbappe is serious, has end product. He doesn't do the fancy flicks and tricks nearly as much. Neymar is more fun to watch, but ultimately, when it counts, he's not really there for you. He's not the kind of player you can rely on. I didn't want to get into that, but sure. That's Dart's opinion. I just want to be clear, but whatever it is, the point is you can't really rely on him. And similarly speaking, I keep seeing people who are like, "Oh, Bruno Fernandes, he hadn't scored in whatever many games," or so why are people targeting Paul Pogba? The difference between Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba is Bruno Fernandes will run back and defend in ways that Paul Pogba will not. Bruno Fernandes will, even when the chips are down, he'll try to get the team going. The problem with Paul Pogba, as Vin just summarized there, is he's so simple to play against and understand because all he cares about is doing what's best for Paul Pogba, which is, let me show you my flicks, my tricks, my insane passing range, my natural time. I'm going to hold off 3 players. It's like, no, what I need you to do is do something simple. Just get the ball, keep your head up, don't lose it, be aware of the pressure, pass it to the next man, and let them do their job. We don't need you to be a match winner from deep in midfield. Just please do the simple thing. And he never does. He's so easy to understand and press and figure out. And like Dan said, I don't get why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is obsessed with him. That honestly should be a criteria in the manager search at this point. If someone says they like Paul Pogba, you immediately just cut their Zoom call and say you're no longer being considered for the position.
Out the door. I don't want to talk to you.
There's a quote which was said by Johan Cruyff, which is
playing
football is very simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is. Paul Pogba does not fit that description at all. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. And I can see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer trying to implement that simple one-touch quick style of play. He does not fit in there. I'm sorry. He just
was it Scholes that said on BT the other day that Pogba was the sort of player to continue to make the same mistakes when he was 18 years old to when he was 35 years old. And when I heard him say that, I was like, wow, that is bang on. Because
true, absolutely spot on. Because you look at Juventus, right? The reason why he excelled, and Scholes mentions this, because he had a wealth of experience around him. He had Pirlo, he had Buffon, he had
Marquinhos, Vidal,
Marquinhos.
Both workhorses in that
exactly
midfield.
And so they were there to sort of guide him and help him out. We don't have that at United. We don't have Scholes and Giggs, and we don't have those players around him at the moment.
The problem though, Vin, I understand what you're saying, but then people will say, so it's the club's fault we're not getting the best out of Paul Pogba. We should do X, Y, and Z to maximize and unlock his potential. First of all, we did, but second of all, the problem is Paul Pogba at his best for United and at his best for Juventus played in a three-man midfield. At Juventus, it was with Pirlo and Vidal. Pirlo doing the intelligent work, Vidal kind of doing the box-to-box running, wherein Pogba could be the most advanced midfielder. And then at United, it was with Matic and Herrera in that 6-month run with Oli. And the problem with that is, again, we have Bruno Fernandes now. And if you go with two players behind Paul Pogba, then you have to either drop Bruno Fernandes or drop Paul Pogba, or play Pogba on the wing where Rashford is in good form and a better player. So the issue is with Bruno Fernandes at the club, if you have to pick, you pick Bruno every time. And so you have to let Paul Pogba go and bring in two players behind him or behind Bruno who can kind of coordinate the team from there. And ultimately, we were talking about quotes. I just want to bring one up. I never praised Jose Mourinho. I have a huge problem with his method of management. I think he's washed up. But I just want to read something that he said to Paul Pogba, allegedly, according to Telegraph Ducker, which is, you don't play, you don't respect players and supporters, and you kill the mentality of the good, honest people around you. You are like a person with the flu, with a virus in a closed room. You pass that virus to the others. I just want to know, where is Jose Mourinho wrong about that?
I don't think he's a virus. I 100% don't think he's a virus. Because
wait, Darth, haven't you heard the joke? I think it was a couple of months ago. I was saying, COVID-19 has become infected with Paul Pogba. That's what happens.
But I'm sure he's a good person, and he's probably a likable
in the dressing room, like with the younger lads and with like people and stuff. As a person, I'm sure he's great, but as a player and in our team, he just doesn't fit. I'm sorry, he's a misfit, really.
Well, yeah. If our whole squad's fit, where's he playing?
And you know what? And you know what the worst thing is? On Twitter, Pogba FC tells me, "Oh, play him on the left wing. Are you taking him out for Rashford?" I'm sorry, no. Rashford doesn't get displaced by Pogba at all. Like, does he have the pace to run it behind?
Greenwood and Di Martial all that can play that position anyway.
Right. So let's focus on Rashford versus Pogba. Yeah. Does he have the pace to run it behind? No. Does he score goals?
No.
Not that many.
Does he have the work rate to track back?
No. But
even
Rashford hasn't been doing that either.
Extremely sloppy. He just slips half the time. I mean, look, those listening, if any of the Pogba FC people are listening, first of all, why?
We're gonna fight you.
Second of all, if you are by just the randomest of chances, this is not a witch hunt. We're just trying to call out a
wait, this isn't a witch hunt?
Rightly so.
Oh, I'm on the wrong podcast. Sorry, I thought this was a witch hunt.
Yeah, I'll put my pitchfork away then.
We're not listening, annihilate him or things like that. We're just calling him out for the things that he should be doing, but he isn't. That's it.
If anyone listening is interested in psychology and sports psychology, I'm not going to talk about it now because it's probably going to bore everyone else. But look up social cohesion and task cohesion, and within that lies the answer to.
Dan, go ahead and explain a little bit. I think this is interesting.
This is the angle that I've missed on this podcast.
Yeah, we've missed this. Go for it, Dan.
Yeah, go.
Okay,
go.
So within sports psychology, there's several notions. There's different types of cohesion. Cohesion is essentially how well a squad works together and plays together. And there's two types. So you've got social cohesion, which is essentially in a squad how much they like each other, how much they get on. But this is away from the game. So you've seen today how they've all gone out for a nice meal. Okay, so that will then be improving their social cohesion as a group, them as friends. But within a game, to essentially be a successful athlete and a successful club, you have to have task cohesion. Okay, like you have to know how each other works. You have to work well together. You can have task cohesion without social cohesion. Like, a lot of people mistake that. You can absolutely work brilliantly as a team, but you can't like each other. You think of
Roy Keane and anybody he ever played with.
Exactly. That's a really good example, actually. Roy Keane and Peter Schmeichel, they used to fight in team hotels, and yet they still achieved as much as they did together because they had task cohesion, but they didn't have social cohesion. Whereas Pogba brings the social cohesion. He's fantastic in the dressing room, and I bet if you was around him, you would enjoy it because he looks like that sort of happy-go-lucky person. But you put him on a pitch with these players, he's not cohesive with them. They don't have task cohesion, and that is why he doesn't work in this side because he doesn't work for anyone else. As Resurgent rightly said, he works for Paul Pogba. And to ultimately be a successful athlete in a successful football club, everyone has to be moving in the right direction. You have to be task cohesive. So that is my psychology input. And if anyone hasn't fallen asleep, enjoy the rest of the podcast. And I will stop.
That was
fantastic.
Just a
Super
tiny
interesting.
follow-up to that. How often does social cohesion translate to task cohesion?
Oh, if you've got social cohesion and task cohesion, that's the magic recipe. You are cooking.
I think
Yeah, but
Vin's question is how often does one lead to the other?
One lead to the other. So like if someone's focusing purely on social cohesion in the hopes that, okay, that would somehow translate to task cohesion, how often does that happen normally in sports teams?
Yeah, like essentially, are they linked, or is it just that Pogba only has social cohesion and that's all it's going to be?
I personally think, as a university student studying sports psychology, that Pogba purely has social cohesion a lot of the time, because a lot of the time he doesn't only care about himself. You can absolutely have, as mentioned before, you can absolutely have task cohesion without social cohesion. A lot of the time, social cohesion will lead to task cohesion, because there's I can't remember whose theory it is, but it's the model of team building or something, where basically teams go through a 5-step process, and the 5 stages they are forming, which is when a group first comes together. Like if you a good example of that is say a group of international players, they all go away for the very first time, and they sort of know each other, but then never play to each other. So then that group will then be in something called a forming stage, which then moves on to the second stage, which is storming, where sort of everyone's sort of jostling for sort of roles within the group. They need to know their roles. Like someone will be jostling for leadership positions, you know, the stronger personalities, and then sort of the quieter personalities will sort of be learning their roles. And within that, there's obviously there's often a lot of infighting, which is why it's called the storming stage. Which then, and then if the group, you know, this is when groups begin to be cohesive. This is how it all links in, by the way. So you go through that storming stage, everyone sort of learns their roles within the group. So they then move on to the norming stage, where everyone's starting to get to know each other, and then which moves on to performing, which is the 4th stage essentially. So you've had the storming, which is sort of and no one knows their roles, there's infighting, for then to learning their roles and learning about each other, and then norming it, and then performing. I've kind of gone off a bit of a tangent here, but it does link together. Normandy. Norming. So it's forming, storming, norming, performing, and then there's actually a 5th stage, which is called joining, but that's not relevant right now. So to summarize, Pogba's fantastic socially, and he's got great social cohesion, but he doesn't have task cohesion with his squad. That's why it doesn't work. And if no one's asleep, you can enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So
Thanks.
I want to link this social and task cohesion back to England, of the golden era of England, where it was where they had
Darth, you could not be more bang on. I did an assignment on sports psychology on this very topic, and that is the exact one that I used.
Because they all hated each other, because of United, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, all hated each other.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right, and that was Wenger and Eriksson in his back room's fault. He never brought them together socially. That's why they didn't work together.
It's because United players all stuck together, Liverpool players all stuck together, and so on and so on.
That's another example exactly more relevant to United, and I don't know if this is right. Dan probably knows more than I do, but Louis van Gaal's United team seemed to have great task cohesion. You know, they were united in pursuit of a goal. They worked together as a team. Even if you didn't necessarily agree with Van Gaal's idea, the implementation was there of it. The problem was, there was reports that the players were unhappy. Carrick and Rooney were going to go talk to Van Gaal. You have to do these things differently. You have to ease up on the video analysis sessions or whatever. And you're in this situation where you had a lot of task cohesion, but very little social cohesion. And now we're on the extreme opposite end of the spectrum as a club.
Yeah, all these teams are focusing a lot more on social cohesion and not that much on task
cohesion. I love this conversation. I love it.
With task cohesion, it seems to be with like a certain number of players and not with the remaining like fringe players.
I guess Ole is in the mindset that if you have really good social cohesion, you will all be eventually in the same task cohesion, I guess.
It's gonna go through the stages of team building, basically.
You know what it reminds me of almost? You know, we talk about the difference between a tactical manager and a man manager.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a task cohesion is related to the tactical manager, and the man manager focuses on social cohesion. The problem, of course, is you need both in balance, and the balance seems to constantly be off at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
it's almost what's his name? Task Manager. Is it Task Manager? Who's the Spider-Man villain?
Taskmaster.
That's the one.
Task Manager.
I mean, if you
I think that's the thing you use in Windows when you go control.
No. It's Task Manager. 100% Task Manager.
I mean, if you were to choose one, you would choose task cohesion every single time, because that's in relation. That's in relation to a match situation. You can all be mates and you can perform terribly. But
watch us go all on the pitch. We'll all have fun, but it won't go well.
I don't know about that one. I'm a bit rusty.
Anyway.
Let's move on to the next topic.
But it's sports psychology on the pod for everybody.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I think, as we say, as someone said before me, Vin, Pogba is not a bad guy. I don't think he's like. I don't think I've seen one person say, "Oh, he's got a toxic personality." Apart from Jose, he's the only one who I've seen who actually knows him and thinks he's a bad guy. So, but yeah, next topic. We're actually going to talk about David De Gea versus Dean Henderson, because obviously David De Gea has been really good at shot stopping this season, especially in the last few weeks. He's sort of come under a bit of scrutiny because he's not coming off his line as much. Well, he never has really in the last few years. But yeah, he's been at fault for at least one of the goals against Atalanta, and maybe a couple of goals in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, Vin, what were your thoughts on that?
I actually look. David De Gea has had a decent season, I would say. Yes, there've been a lot of goals conceded, but not all of them are down to him, are they? I mean, he's pulled off some incredible saves, which just kept us in games, literally. Like the Wolves game, for example, he literally kept us in that game because of that double save, which was fantastic. Else we would have lost the game for sure. Saves against, I would say, Atalanta, even at home, against Newcastle. He's pulled off quite a few. I don't remember exactly which games he's pulled off those incredible double saves or incredible reflex saves, but he has pulled off a lot of them. And it looks like David De Gea has come back to his sort of 2018 prime form. But I can understand why there's an argument in terms of the comparison with Dean Henderson, in that Dean Henderson, like David De Gea, doesn't leave his line. It's like, I don't know what level of glue has been attached to his boots and the line and the goalpost line. I don't know what degree of glue that is.
I think someone told David De Gea that it's kind of like the opposite of Squid Game, where in Squid Game you have to cross the line by the time the timer runs out. In David De Gea's case, he thinks if he gets off of the line, they're going to shoot him.
What do you mean? Any green grass is lava.
Kind of. It just seems to be that, he thinks if he leaves his line, immediately he's going to concede a goal, or worse, he's going to end up in a bad personal situation.
And I'll tell you what, there was one moment, I don't know which game this was, where David De Gea came off his line and actually collected the ball, which was
that was against Tottenham, I think.
It wasn't Tottenham. It was way before that. I think it was early on in the season.
Leicester?
Yeah,
Leeds?
No, Wolves maybe.
I think it was Wolves. Yeah. I think it was Wolves.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Dama was trying to cross it to, I think, Jimenez, but then David De Gea came off his line, jumped, took the ball, and then just carried on. And I'm like, wow, David De Gea came off his line. He actually collected the ball in the box. Wow. I think all of Twitter was shocked.
Wasn't it? That was damning. He's about 3 yards from goal, and David De Gea is still stuck on his line.
Yeah, one thing that I'll point out, just giving some numbers to give this context, the issue with David De Gea isn't so much necessarily, his shot stopping. It's the fact, if you look at it over the last 365 days, for cross stop percentage, i.e., the percentage of crosses into the penalty area successfully stopped by the goalkeeper. David De Gea has stopped 5% of his crosses, which is in the 9th percentile, which say 91% of goalkeepers have done better. Defensive actions outside the penalty area, i.e., sweeping, right? 9th percentile again, 0.36 per 90, which say every 3 games, one time David De Gea decides to leave his box. That's kind of the situation. You look at Dean Henderson on the other end, 9.5% cross stop, 87th percentile, so nearly the top 10% for goalkeepers. Defensive actions outside the penalty area, 1.03 per 90, 91st percentile. Again, very good. If you look at their clean sheet percentage for De Gea, it's 28.6% for Henderson. It's 41.2%. So he's keeping a clean sheet about 50% more often. And the thing is, people look at and even save percent. Dean Henderson has 76.9% save percent, and for De Gea is 67.7%. The one argument you can use in favor of David De Gea is that he's made some very crucial blocks, but the problem is that's more than offset by the fact that Dean Henderson prevents chances from becoming chances, because he'll come and grab the ball in the air, or he'll come out and close the space so the guy has nowhere to shoot from. Whereas with David De Gea, every chance fully develops into a chance, and then he'll save some of them, and then others he won't. And it just becomes this situation where we're allowing ourselves to be in more bad situations. We're essentially giving up more expected goals purely because David De Gea literally will be as reactive as possible for some reason.
So I have a theory that maybe will be correct. Who knows?
I'm citing this. Go on.
No, you're not gonna find my theory. All right, my theory is because Dave's had a kid recently, like last year. Yeah, Dave and his missus had a kid. Yeah, I reckon he goes back to Spain next year, like summer, right? Because it's a young child.
Oh, I thought you were going to use that as the reason for his form.
I thought you were going to say that's why he's fucking shitting himself to come out, because he don't want
to.
No.
I think
that is literally where I expect you to go.
No, I went a different route. Fuck you.
So one thing I'll say about that, Darth, is as far as the long-term planning at the goalkeeping position goes, every report we have from the summer said until Dean Henderson got COVID, Dean Henderson was going to be the starting goalkeeper to start the season. So the question that I have then for the manager of Manchester United, whether it's Ole or the next person, is if you decided based on in all these cases, 2 years and some change of evidence of having coached David De Gea and having seen Dean Henderson up close for a year, you decided my goalkeeper for the future is Dean Henderson. Why did 3 to 5 games that went really well while Henderson was recovering prevent you from making the switch? And now it's been like, to some extent, you say, oh, well, you play the players that are in form, whatever. Now he's made mistakes. So there's no excuse for him to be starting again against Man City. It's just one of those situations where if you decided by the summer that Dean Henderson was your number one, if you're the long-term planner, the guy at United who says, we're not going to worry about the short term, I'm going to look at the best interests of the club for the next 10, 15 years. Why didn't you make the switch before? And, even if you have whatever excuse, now you have no excuse to wait any longer.
I think there's also politics that come into it from club hierarchy, because Dave's on 375 grand a week.
Is Joel telling play David De Gea every game? Because if that's the case, I'm gonna smack his bald head.
I reckon there is to some extent, because you don't leave 375k a week on your bench unless your name is Chelsea Football Club or Man City Football Club.
As well as that, though, Ollie still thinks that David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world, and I have no idea why.
No, I don't think he does.
That's just for the presser. Come on.
Come on, man.
He said it a lot of times.
Yeah, so again, that's what the presser. He's not gonna say shit, is he? I mean,
oh yeah, he's not gonna walk in and go, "The hair is shit." Come on,
exactly.
Yeah.
And also, there's a case for David De Gea to start against Man City, and we'll come to the preview in a bit.
So,
yeah, then again, if you start Dean Henderson and Dean Henderson has a howler, oh my god!
Because of the way we play right now, like if we go with a back three, the approach is going to be sit back and counter, and then if you're sitting back, there's going to be a lot of shot stopping, and who better to do that?
We'll talk about that in the preview.
Yeah,
I'm still not done on the Henderson thing. So
we'll talk about that. Yeah.
So De Gea is world class at shot stopping, right? It's undoubtedly he is world class at shot stopping. However, goalkeeping has evolved in you need to be a sweeper keeper. You need to be Finn. Nah, you need to be a sweeper keeper, and it's evolved. You basically become an extra player, and you need to do that. Be really good with your feet.
I was saying that the other day that football's very much moved on from shot stoppers. Goalkeepers have to be competent with the ball now. You know, they have to be able to use their feet, and they have to be
It's
able
why
to prevent chances.
Arsenal are doing well with Ramsdale, not Leno. Like Ramsdale is good at shot stopping, but he's really good at providing an extra outlet for when they're playing it about, and it's really good to watch.
I mean, you just watch City. Edison is probably one of their most creative players.
I don't think
some
He
Edison
has some
is
nice
actually-
balls. He has some nice balls.
To some extent, you look at this United team, and you can, there's that report that came out that Ollie considers the 2007-8 double winning team the kind of the benchmark for what he's trying to build. And you look at it and you say, how much has football moved on since Pep took over the next year and beat us in the final twice under Sir Alex? Because you look at it and he's got a goalkeeper who can't sweep, right back who is developing but not great at going forward. And it's just things that we need to take care of if we're going to move forward. The game's changed.
Yeah. But personally, Henderson just gives me way more confidence because, I don't think there's that much difference in terms of shot stopping. Obviously, the last couple of years, the Hayes shot stopping has declined. This season has gone back up again, but I think as he keeps making mistakes, he's probably going to go back down to where it was. So he's had a bit of a peak this season in terms of that, but I don't think it's going to last very long, to be honest. So, in terms of City, what do you guys think about that? Vin, are you confident?
Yeah.
I mean, I would. The reason why I would be slightly confident is because of our recent record against City and Guardiola. Dot. Yes, I see the cat. But yeah, I mean, City as well. They haven't had the best run-in of games as well. They've just lost to Palace, and they would be determined.
They've got 3 more points than.
Sorry?
They've got 3 more points than us in the Premier League.
Yeah, but like if we win it, we get on.
Oh no, but that's what I'm saying. That they're not that good. Like they.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they've not had the best of. They've been having ups and downs as well. They started off with a loss, and then they've had a draw with Southampton, and then now a defeat to Palace at home. So they're not like the dominant City like we always know. So, but having said that, we haven't been great either. So it's like, if you look at it from the get-go, City have the slight advantage. But if we execute our plans well, not make silly mistakes, then I see no reason why we can't pull off a win here.
But there lies the problem. You have to not have silly mistakes and pull off a plan.
We had a plan for most part.
Yeah,
but then silly mistakes and then injuries and blah, 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 whatever,
Let me ask you guys, would you go 4-2-3-1 or 3-5-2, given that Varane is out?
3-5-2. Yeah, I was just going to ask.
3-5-2 as well.
Yeah.
3-5-2 Reds, let's go.
You've got to stick with that because
Live on Hal's army.
Especially for big games, the back four has just been awful for us this season. And if we have a repeat of Liverpool, then and when we use this same system, the back four, it's probably going to be a repeat, and we're probably going to lose 5-0 again.
Yeah, he can't be going at City the way he decided to go at Liverpool. He decided to sort of mash them and try to match their intensity, and there's no one's beating Jurgen Klopp's side like that.
So then let me ask you this, given everyone's kind of coalesced on that and we're short on time, I'm going to give you an 11 and I'm going to ask you if you do anything differently. Dean Henderson in goal, back 3, Bailly, Maguire, and I guess it would be Lindelof. They're the only 3 fit center backs. Wing backs of Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, McTominay and Fred in midfield, Bruno Fernandes, and then Ronaldo and Cavani up front. So basically the same team as Spurs, except with Bailly in for Varane and with Henderson in for De Gea. Anyone do anything different?
I would go different.
I think
Phil Jones, IMO.
No.
Okay, let's start with that then.
Okay. So every time we beat City, it's been with pace up top. Cat, go away. It's been with pace up top. It's when we had like Jesse Lingard, Rashford, Martial, when he was quick.
So who are you putting Rashford in for?
Rashford and Ronaldo up top.
I rate that. I would love to see that,
Yeah.
to be fair.
And Tellez and Shaw at centre back with McFred.
Nice.
So
I don't think you
if
can drop
Lindelof
a-
is injured,
So wait, who's dropping out from the centre backs for you?
I don't
So
think
if Shaw's playing
Lindelof.
centre back, you gotta drop one of those three, though.
Yeah, Lindelof. I
Yeah.
don't think he makes it. I'm sure he's still injured.
yeah, if Lindelof doesn't make it, the way you go definitely has to be Shaw left center back. Tellez.
If he can walk, he will play.
Yeah, we've been complaining
If he
about.
can breathe, he'll play.
Yeah, we've been complaining about playing players through injury. So if you play Lindelof, then that's just going against what we were saying. So I think it would be fine with Shaw, Bay, and Maguire.
I mean,
and
if
then Tellez
Lindelof
to
is
Johnson.
fit, I think there's an argument for Lindelof, Bay, and Shaw even. That's what I'd like to see. I would drop Harry Maguire, even though I'm a huge fan of him. But I can't see Ollie doing that. You know, if Harry Maguire can get on the pitch in a wheelchair, he's playing.
All right, Dan Winkle. What changes would you make?
Yeah, I agreed with that. To be fair, I'd love to see Rashford and Ronaldo at top. You know, we famously did well against them when we used pace and we played the three at the back, and Martial and Rashford run them ragged. I think there was 2 games that were almost exactly the same. I think it was
Lingard,
one in the
his
League
pressing
Cup.
was really good.
What was the one Martial scored and it went off the post? I think we actually ended up winning that 2-0,
Yeah.
even though they sort of kept the ball in our half as exactly as you'd expect them to, and we just hit them on the counter and just played fantastically well.
Is that the one where Scott McTominay scored from like 30 yards?
No. That was in the Premier League. I'm talking about the League Cup. I think it might have been about 2 years ago. I think
that was in the Premier League, wasn't it?
It was the Prem. We haven't beat them in the League Cup.
Is it the game where Ollie sort of
that was the second leg.
blasted Jesse?
Oh, no,
That's the
Matic
game.
scored. It was Matic that scored in
No,
off the
it
post,
was
and they got
Martial,
sent
but
off.
It went into the post. I'm telling you, it was the
I know what you're
second
talking
leg of
about.
the League Cup semi. Was it a semi? Maybe.
Yeah, we played them in the semifinal 2 years in a row, so it's easy to mix them up.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Either way, I really like the idea of Rashford and Ronaldo at the top.
Reese?
Yeah, I agree with Dan, Rashford and Ronaldo, because if we look at as you said, the past games with Man City, Liverpool, other sides that play high lines, Rashford is the one.
I agree with you guys about the pace, but I think there's absolutely no way he doesn't start Cavani and Ronaldo up front together.
Maybe.
It does work better against two.
Yeah, I mean, Cavani, Ronaldo, Rashford, Ronaldo, either combinations would be good. Honestly, for me, David De Gea in goal. And this is what I would like to see, like desired. I'm not predicting what Ollie would pick. This is what I would like to see.
Get on with it.
David De Gea, Luke Shaw, left center back, Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof. Harry Maguire doesn't get picked for this game, in my opinion. Alex Telles, left wing back, Wan-Bissaka, right wing back, McTominay and Fred as your center backs, Fernandez, and I would like to see Rashford and Ronaldo up top. So basically a 3-4-1-2 essentially, but yeah.
And with time ticking down, let's go to predictions, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Reese.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go with. I think we'll score 1. I think they'll score 2 probably. So yeah, 2-1 to City. I'm going to be negative.
Wow, that's the first time someone's called a loss on this channel.
No, I call losses quite
I was-
frequently. Go for
I
it.
was being-
You said a draw. Come on.
Being realistic,
All right, Dan.
honest.
Dan, what are you going for?
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say we win 2-1.
That's more like it.
Mr. Necros.
Call out the third result. Just go for the third result.
We'll go for a draw here.
All right, Vin.
I'm somewhat optimistic given our record. Somehow we turn up in the derby for some reason. So 2-1 United.
All right, I'm going to go with Manchester United 1, Manchester City 4, and I think this is going to be the end for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think we're going to get absolutely hammered.
That's what I was torn with. I was like 4-1 or 1-1.
I look at Man City the way that they play. They exploit spaces, and us as a team, we create them. I think he's going to play 4-2-3-1, and I think it's going to cost him the game and his job.
I don't think he'll play 4-2-3-1,
but again, if we sack him, who do we go for? There's no one.
That's another argument made.
All right, let's not get into this.
Let's end it there. Yeah, it's been really good. Some really good discussion.
Peace.
Really like Dan's insight into the psychology part of things. Yeah, that was quite unique. I like that. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, for making it to the end. If you have, on YouTube, make sure to like, elsewhere, follow, and thank you very much.
Peace.